back to Unaware Commentary, the place for Pokemon TCG battle narration that doesn't care about the stats.
Welcome back, trainers, to another exciting Pokemon TCG battle narration. I'm your Unaware narrator, and we are catching up with our players as this battle is about to commence. We have our player 1 on the left with the Ethan's Ho-Oh mat, player 2 on the right with the Bubble Mew mat. Looks like a Froakie in the starting position for our player 2 and a 60 HP Dunsparce in the starting position for our player 1 with a Weedle on the bench. Our player 2 starting off the game, drawing the turn, going into the deck with a Pokepad, going to be able to go through the deck here and find a non-rule box Pokemon to place into the hand, as well as be able to go through the deck, see what resources may be available to our player as far as additional pieces to the Greninja line, secondary attackers, draw engines, supporters, items, and energy. It's important in the Pokemon TCG that you're able to figure out what resources are going to be available. It does look like we found a Staryu off of the Buddy Poppin', so likely a Mega Greninja EX, Mega Starmie combination here. You see a Mega Greninja and a rare candy in the hand, potentially for next turn. Wally's in the hand, lots of resources available here. We do see a potential energy attachment for the turn. It'll be interesting to see where that energy finds itself. Likely we are not concerned about a knockout coming out here on the second turn of the game, or the first turn of the game for our player 1 with the Beedrill EX deck, usually relying on Force of Vitality. However, Force of Vitality's condition as a stadium card is that it cannot be utilized on the first turn of the game to evolve those Beedrill into play, or those grass Pokemon into play, as it is a stadium that primarily focuses on getting those stage 2 grass Pokemon into play quickly. Doesn't look like we have another means of going into the deck, potentially debating where the energy is going to land. We are going to see that basic water energy being attached to the Staryu and a pass over to our player 1, with who we see a couple of bug catching sets available in the hand. Bug catching set going to allow for the looking at the top 7 cards of the deck, the selection of a combination of grass Pokemon and grass energy to be placed into the hand. We are going to find a grass energy and a Kakuna placed into the hand here, going to shuffle up before the playing of the second bug catching set, as it is important that the deck is properly randomized whenever you're going to take cards off the top of the deck, or you're going to draw cards in the Pokemon TCG. A lot of times if you're going to play multiple shuffle effects, it is courteous to try to avoid shuffling the deck more times, as it is respectful to your opponent. But in this particular instance, with a second bug catching set coming out here, it was important that the deck was shuffled. See if we can find some additional resources here, as our player 2 was threatening to potentially board wipe if more basic Pokemon were not able to be found. Mega Starmie with his Jetting Blow attack, known for doing 120 damage and 50 damage to the bench. It's possible that Dunsparce could have found its way into the out of the active, and that Weedle into the active, but no Weedles in play, and a Dunsparce with 50 damage on it would not be an ideal circumstance for our player 1 to find his way into. So the finding of 2 Weedle off this bug catching set is going to be good for getting not only more bench Pokemon into play, but potentially seeing more Beedrill in the following turns. Not looking like we have a whole lot extra going on here. We are going to see that the Dunsparce finding its way out of the active, so that it is not going to be the prime target of something like a Jetting Blow or even a Ninja Spinner, should we find the Neo Upper Energy that is likely to be in this Mega Greninja EX deck. A lot of times Grand Tree a potential option. You see just a pass over to our player 2, who has drawn for the turn the benching of a second Staryu onto the bench, considering the evolution into Mega Starmie on the bench. So it could have been a dangerous turn here. A rare candy, going to see a turn 2 Mega Greninja EX in the active position with that large 380 HP stat. Going to be tough to get to with the Beedrill EXs. It would mean that all 4 Beedrill EX would need to be in play to be able to take a knockout in a single turn. We're not quite seeing an energy attachment here, or an air balloon to potentially retreat out. We're just going to be stuck. No attack of this turn. It did see a draw for turn from our player 1, a redeemable ticket, not going to be playable. We do have a Dunsparce in the hand, so runaway draw, hopefully going to get us out of this tough hand. The drawing of 3 cards off the top, and then shuffling in, did see a Buddy Poppin' and a Force of Vitality coming into the hand. We are going to see the Dunsparce shuffle its way in, potentially going back in to grab a part of that out, with the Buddy Poppin' going in to find 2 basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less to place onto the bench. There is 2 bench spots available to our player 1, so he's going to be able to search for both Pokemon should they be available in the deck. Looking like we're grabbing 2 of those 60 HP Dunsparce onto the bench. The advantage of the 60 HP Dunsparce being that it has free retreat, however an easy target in the meta for things like Dragapult EX's Phantom Dive. So sacrifices being made in the tech choices for cards here. We're going to see the playing of that Forest of Vitality into play, a Kakuna finding its way onto the active, and a Beedrill EX finding its way into play. The attachment of a Grass Energy. Do we have any way to get more cards out of the deck, any additional Pokemon into play? Because right now we are just doing 110 damage. That active Greninja, we're going to see a Rumbling Bees, the Beedrill EX only seeing itself on the battlefield, so 110 damage going to come down onto that Mega Greninja. Rumbling Bees, and attack for 1 Grass Energy on that Beedrill EX that does 110 damage, plus 110 times the number of Beedrill EX in play. So it is a times multiplier, so 110 times 1, going to just do that 110. We're going to see a Neo Upper Energy as the top deck for the turn by our player 2, finding its way on to that Mega Greninja, considering maybe playing the Wallies in hand to get rid of that 110 damage, but there isn't another way to increase the damage of the Beedrill EX's attack, maybe wanting to hold on to that Wallies for a later turn. Only 110 damage is going to be done on the following turn. Healing the 220 after using a Ninja Spinner this turn could just wash away all of that damage. Follow it up with 2 prize cards taken. Could be a powerful turn. Just determining here if we are going to move forward with the attack of the Ninja Spinner. Don't imagine we're going to want to use that Neo Upper Energy as a means of retreating, as it is so useful in a matchup like this where Wallies is able to be such a great means of healing off the damage from the Greninja. We do just see a Ninja Spinner come out from the Mega Greninja EX, dealing 200 damage to that active Beedrill EX, putting it in range of another Ninja Spinner next turn, as it only has 310 HP. We do see the evolution of a Dunsparce onto the bench of our player 1 after a draw for the turn. Going to see 3 cards here, 2 Pokepads, and a Lily's Determination. A heck of a set of cards there. Not going to shuffle the deck quite yet, as we are going to find our way back into the deck. Just going to play a Pokepad, going to find another Dunsparce out of the deck now, potentially shuffling before we draw more cards. Nope, going to see the second Pokepad being played, going back to the deck. Again, finding another non-rule box Pokemon into the hand. Going to want to see some Beedrill EX coming into play here to try to increase the damage of the Rumbling Bees, as 110 is not going to get it done. Just a Kakuna being found on that Pokepad. Going to see a Lily's Determination here, shuffling the hand into the deck, drawing 8 cards, as no prize cards have been taken by either player in this game as of yet. So I'm going to shuffle up here and see 8 fresh resources, hoping not to see any of those cards from the previous hand, as they did not seem helpful in getting more Beedrills into play. 8 cards here off the top for our player 1. Will we see additional Beedrill EXs in play? We'll see the rewarding of the patience from our player 2 here. Up a Forest of Vitality, not going to do anything. We do see a second Beedrill EX come into play. 220 damage now available on the battlefield. Going to potentially play this Ultra Ball, knowing that knocking out that Greninja EX opens up the possibility of something like a red card. Ultra Ball being played, discarding a Grass Energy and a Forest of Vitality, going into the deck, finding a Kakuna being evolved onto that benched Weedle. Shuffling of the deck here. Potentially could see more cards off of the Dunsparce if we see an additional runaway draw. Maybe another way to go into the deck. We're going to see the runaway draw here, drawing 3 additional cards, really committing to try to get another Beedrill into play. The drawing of Dunsparce, and Meowth. There is the benching of the Dunsparce. Are we out of resources? There's an Ultra Ball in the hand with so many tough resources to choose to throw away. Pheasantipity, Meowth, all cards we want to see. A Night Stretcher potentially. You're going to see the discarding of Night Stretcher and Meowth. So now we're going to have a way to get the Meowth back here should there be a big knockout for that Mega Starmie EX with its Nebula Beam attack. Going to be able to potentially follow up here, if there's something like an ignition energy able to increase the energy on that Starmie as one energy attachment, would not do it. But the additional resources from something like an ignition energy that can be played in these types of decks or in Mega Starmie decks. We do see the benching of Pheasantipity in case there's a need for any catch-up in the game. You see a big rumbling beast coming out, dealing 330 damage to that active Mega Greninja EX, going to take that knockout, giving up 3 prizes to our player 1. Does our player 2 have a follow-up play here, as that Mega Starmie also going to give up 3 prizes if it is knocked out? What are our available options here? Essentially, like I said, energies that could increase the number on that Starmie. Something like an ignition energy could find its way through here for our player 2, is if it's available in the deck. While he's not going to do anything, that Neo Upper Energy, the A spec for the deck, only useful in stage when attached to a stage 2 Pokemon to provide 2 of any energy, something like we saw with the Mega Greninja, or we see utilized in Dragapult EX decks. Do see a Boss's Orders trying to grab that Pheasantipity, trying to maybe trap it in the active, get an additional turn here, be able to turn a couple of turns into a couple of prizes, try to set up another Mega Greninja, try to get these Beedrills off of the board. If that Fez is stuck in the active position, just going to see a Jetting Blow come out, dealing 120 damage to that active Pheasantipity EX. These 50 damage counters being placed onto that Dunsparce, potentially trying to take a 3 prize turn on the following turn. Is there a way to get the Pheasantipity out of the active position? Oh no, the attachment of a Grass Energy to the Pheasantipity promotion of Beedrill EX. That Rumbly Beast still dealing 330 damage, going to knock out the Mega Starmie EX. All 6 prize cards being taken. That's the game. Thank you so much for watching, trainers. We will catch you next time.